What fun?
The storm that just came through.
Oh, no, no, no. He was,
Huh?
no, he was with me at my class. He's local to me.
Ah, okay. So he's there. He's there for all the fun.
Yes, quite right.
Yeah.
Quite right.
I was a witness to my gazebo flying around over my property. So
My goodness, it's terrible, right?
yeah.
What the hell's happening? I keep clicking the wrong thing here. Cindy, if you have a microphone, you are welcome to speak.
Oh, can you hear me? I didn't even know I was on.
We can hear you.
Oh, awesome. I was just sending something in the chat line.
I know, I
So-
saw it. I saw it. I saw you just said like a random yes. I don't know when the yes came up, but I did see it.
Yes, when you said, can anybody hear me? And I'm like, yes.
Oh, okay. All
So,
right.
I'm actually, this is my first meeting, so I'm very excited and stuff, and looking forward to hearing everybody. So I'm located in California, so I'm just a
You're in
little
California, you
northwest of
said?
Los Angeles.
Oh.
Yes. So
Oh.
just northwest of Los Angeles. I heard about you guys talking about the storms. So are you guys in South Carolina, North
New
Carolina?
Jersey, New Jersey.
New Jersey, so it's gotten up that far. Wow.
So-
Oh, well, fingers crossed for you guys. You get through the storm.
Well, apparently it hasn't affected Mark other than his Trex went flying, but for me, I didn't have, I don't have power for like the last day and a half, so
Not good.
it's okay. As long as I don't open my refrigerator, I'm fine.
Oh my gosh, but how are you eating anything?
Oh, restaurants are open because it's
Oh,
random.
they are? Okay, good. Okay, good.
It's random. It's random. Like some parts of the town are completely shut down, and some parts of the town, there's no problem. Completely random.
Wow.
I could hit every drive-through of every spectacular fast food chain in the country.
Wow. There you go. You just got to do what you got to do. That's what I'm saying, and learn how to pivot with your business, right?
Exactly. So we have two other newbies. We have John Drosba and Marcus Sanford. You guys, if you have microphones, you are welcome to speak and say hello. Or not.
Oh, I'm
And-
sorry. Hello, this is Marcus. How you doing?
Hi, Marcus. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, thank you.
Where you from, Marcus?
New Jersey here. Union,
Oh,
New Jersey.
you're here in the dirty Jersey, huh?
Yes, I am.
Well, I'm here in the dirty Jersey too, as is our good friend Mark. So you've got a lot of Jerseyans here.
All right, thank you.
No, you're quite welcome. Where in Jersey? North, south, central?
North Jersey.
Ah, very cool. Very cool. Cindy? Oh,
Yes.
oh, here you're typing. Oh, you must have been typing that the whole time and just hit enter.
Yeah, I just hit enter. I had typed it and I just hit enter.
Okay, very good. Very good. John, welcome. We have a lot of newbies today. Ray, welcome. Anybody who's got a microphone is welcome to speak. John is from Albany, New York. We got hit pretty hard. Yeah, it's so weird. My daughter lives in Florida and she got like literally nothing from Isaiah. It's like it didn't hit land until it got to Jersey. And then it swooped all the way up through New York.
I have family all the way up the Eastern Seaboard. So, I have Long Island, New York,
Oh, Long Island
New
probably got hit.
Jersey.
Yeah, Long Island probably got hit in a big way.
Yeah, it's like North Carolina. So all the way up the, Eastern Seaboard, I have family and stuff. Maryland.
Usually worry about Florida though. Like my daughter is in Florida, and it's obviously always everything is always ready to hit Florida first.
Yes.
Perfectly
Yeah.
fine. Perfectly fine.
Yeah, I lived in Tampa for 7 years.
Oh, my mother's
So-
there now.
Yeah. So, and so I'm very used to the storms, and this time of the year, it gets kind of scary. You
What
just kind of
brings-
get used to a routine.
If you're East Coast, what brings you to that horrific place known as California?
hey, no, I know what, I wouldn't live anywhere else and stuff, but I just won't invest here.
Oh, well, actually, for notes, California is a very desired state.
Seriously.
I just
I
personally
won't,
despise it.
I will,
Personally.
I will not like, I love it here. So I'm kind of a Western state person anyway. And I was in Tampa for 7 years. I was 35 years in commercial property and casualty insurance, and I worked for insurance companies. And about 3 years ago, I abandoned my corporate job and got into real estate and did 4 flips and decided I'd much rather flip paper than properties. So I did 4 flips in Tennessee, and now I'm doing the paper. And I love it. I love noting, and so I'm just kind of trying to get out there during this environment. And it's like, but my career actually brought me back to California. So I originally I'm from Salt Lake City. So I was Salt Lake City and then back, and I've been to San Diego, back to Salt Lake City. Anyway, so I've just been a military brat for insurance companies, but I can't imagine living anywhere else. I love it. It's expensive. I absolutely will not invest in any real estate out here, whether it's a note, whether it's
Well, I wouldn't invest in
nothing.
I wouldn't invest in real estate in California, but it
Yeah,
is highly desired for notes.
I don't know why, but
Well, I'll tell you why, because it's very easy to foreclose.
oh,
And
really? It's like, that's not
absolutely.
what I hear. I hear it's like, honestly, it's like they have squatters out here have rights. And so to do an eviction out
Well,
here,
squatters anywhere have rights. That's just
well, out here, it'll take you.
listen, squatters everywhere have
Well,
rights.
I live here and I have people that have properties out here, and it'll take you roughly about 2 to 3 years to get somebody out of a property.
Okay, that's
Either
terrific. In New
foreclosing-
Jersey, it takes you 7 years to foreclose.
Well, it's just like New York, and I also don't invest in New Jersey either.
Right. But my point is that can happen anywhere, and Ohio can take a long time.
Right. It's just
Really, that California is a problem. California is actually a very desirable state by notes. When you go look at tapes, the California notes are very expensive because they're desirable.
Yeah. You're going to pay for a non-performing note. You're going to pay like 95 to par, sometimes over par.
Well, it depends. Are you talking about firsts or seconds? Because I don't buy firsts.
First. Yeah.
I
first.
never buy firsts.
Oh, okay. So you're in a different focus because nobody really is into the first market out here, first position.
Yeah, no, I never buy first because firsts.
Yeah. So
firsts do not have the amount of.
Yeah, seconds make sense. So it's like, but definitely, first positions. Yeah.
Yeah, firsts do not have the they're more risky than people think. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely.
They don't have the safety and security that people think. So anyway, so here we are. We now have a bunch of newbies. We have Sarah. How are you, Sarah? If you oh, you have a microphone. Say hello again. I'm sorry.
Hey, how are you?
Excellent, thank you. And we still didn't hear from Ray.
Hi.
Hi, Ray. How are you?
Well, how are you?
Excellent, thank you. Where are you from, Ray?
I'm from Brooklyn.
We got lots of New York, New Jersey in the house tonight.
Yeah.
And Sarab, where are you from?
New York City.
Oh my goodness. All right. It's just too much. I just can't handle it. It's too much. It's too much. Can't handle this many homeboys.
Woohoo.
So tonight, what do we want to talk about? Mark, I just spent a weekend with Mark, and not Marcus, but Mark. And so he gets the first question.
Okay. Could you please explain the ramifications of Chapter 13 and the second liens?
Oh, right. Well, here's the
bankruptcy, Chapter 13 and second liens, and how does it affect second lien? And if they're being pushed off the scale, can they still have some kind of claim onto the person?
Okay, so you're talking about if you get stripped, because that's your potential of getting in a second position of getting stripped in a Chapter 13.
Right.
Right. So what would stop us? Now, you just took my class. I'm going to give you a test question. What would stop you from getting stripped in a Chapter 13 second position?
Well, of course, that would make, during the due diligence, I would make sure that the combination of the first lien and the second lien combined is lower than 70% of the market value of the property.
Well, that's true, but there's something more specific than that, and that is $1 of equity over the first.
Correct.
So if you can prove $1 of equity over the first in a Chapter 13 second position, you will not be stripped. It's just not going to happen. Do you need to worry about being stripped in Chapter 7?
No, you do not.
That is correct. You do not.
But if you do get stripped, do you still can pursue the borrower on a non-secured plateau, sort of?
Not
Or-
Not really. I mean, you probably could after the bankruptcy's over, but they're just going to file. You're just going to slap a lien on their property, and they're going to file bankruptcy again. Get rid of it.
Right.
So, really, the thing to do is do your proper due diligence up front, which we know is the way to go, is the way to buy a note. But secondly, if somebody is a serial filer, file that relief from stay and keep pursuing the foreclosure if you can. That's obviously the best way to go.
Okay.
Relief from stay is not an expensive document to file. Now, let's say the borrower makes certain representations in PACER saying, you know what, my house can't sustain this second mortgage. In fact, I'm completely underwater over the first. Do you accept that, or do you get your own appraisal?
Absolutely, I would get my own appraisal.
Correct. And would you get a BPO, which is kind of cheap, or would you get an
No.
appraisal?
I would actually hire somebody to do an official appraisal.
That's right, because a judge is going to do what with it with a BPO?
He's gonna throw it away.
That's right, because it's irrelevant. That is right. So there's a lot of good stuff in there. There's a lot packed into there. But the other good news about 13s is very few make it to fruition. 70% end in dismissal. So even if you do get stripped, 70% of the time you're back in play as soon as it's dismissed.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about it in a 7, so it's not a big deal.
Thank you.
My pleasure, sir. All right, who's next? Sir Rob writes, what is it they do not allow full access? I'm not sure I understand that. For your appraisal, do not allow full access. Oh, but they have to allow full access. If they're making, hi, Dexter. Let me allow you to speak and say hello. If they're making if they're stating in their PACER for bankruptcy that there's not enough equity, that they're completely underwater, if they're making that allegation to the judge, they have to let you in. You have to have the opportunity to fight that with an appraisal of your own. They cannot let you refuse you entrance into the home. And their lawyer will tell them that. And if they do deny you entrance to the home, then you need to make a motion with the judge. And the judge will tell them they must allow you in the house. When they claim the house cannot sustain the second, they can make any claim they want. It's up to you to get your own appraisal. And like I just said, they don't have the right to refuse your appraiser entrance, especially if they're making that, if they're saying that their defense to paying you is that the house is underwater over the first. They have to let your appraiser in. No choice. They give you a hard time, call their lawyer. They give your lawyer a hard time, call the judge.
Hi, Kathy.
Hey, Dexter, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Spectacular.
You sound a lot better from 2 weeks ago.
Well, I'm a lot healthier, thank you. I've been out of the hospital for about 3 weeks now, and walking quite normally.
That's good to hear.
Well, thank you, sir. Well, I'm not totally normally, but almost there, almost there. And I've given up all of the things that make me happy. So that's, that's always good, I guess.
I think that's like I don't know. I'm still young, but it sounds like that's what getting older means.
Yeah, it's exactly what it means. No cigarettes, no booze, and no coffee. All of my vices in one shot, just gone. So, Sarab, did that answer your question about the appraisal and them allowing you access to the home, et cetera, et cetera? Okay. Who's next? So tonight I like this. We have almost all newbies in here. I only have two that I've seen before.
So Kathy, I have some questions.
Well, that's what we're here for.
I believe last time you said that to start up it would be like 50,000, I believe, or did I get that number wrong?
Everybody's going to have a different amount to start up with, but anything less than 50 is probably not worth doing.
Oh, okay, wow. And would that include like the attorney and the loan servicer?
You're talking about as soon as you buy it, you want to board it with an attorney or a servicer?
Oh, I'm not even sure how it works out, but I would just.
Okay,
Yeah.
so here's generally what we do. And I'll just go with rounder numbers and say 100,000. Generally, what I would do is deploy 80 and hold back 20 for administrative expense.
Okay.
And that would include if I choose to do foreclosure, if I need to make an assignment of mortgage in Suffolk County, which could be ridiculously expensive, etc. Expenses along that line.
100,000 is a really a big sum of money. So how would one go about like making partnerships and stuff?
Well, by coming on to these calls and hooking up with people, exchanging your phone number. There's I think there's a virtual DME this year. I won't be attending, but other people will be attending. So you could definitely do something like that virtually. That's an excellent thing to do.
Okay. And is there like a vetting process that you would do with partners?
Well, I don't take on partners. Me personally, PAC doesn't do that. We're a member of a note investor group that's pre-existing for a couple of years now. But we don't take on partners. Partners are, unless you're actually my partner, that's just messy business. We don't get involved in that.
Okay. So I don't know, for judging from what you're saying, like it's best to just come up with the capital yourself.
Well, right. So what I'm saying is you can either come up with the capital yourself or somebody that you know in your life that you trust tremendously who has an interest in doing it with you.
Okay.
It's all about that. You have to trust the people that you're working with 180%. The people that I work with, I could hand them, each one of them, $500,000 and trust each one of them with it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a lot of money. And
but I'm just saying I could trust every one of my partners with that money. So that's the kind of person that you need to partner up with. And you're not going to find that by doing like a vetting process. You need to feel comfortable with people.
Okay.
Right? I mean, you're a friend from since when you were 3 years old might be somebody that you would consider. Something like that.
So I guess my other question is like, even though if you trust them, you would just have to like work out an agreement with them. It's like, oh, it's just, I need to,
Right. So there's the old adage, trust but verify, right? So even though I trust every one of my partners with as much money as I could possibly throw at them, we do have contracts in place. We have an LLC. And I'm talking about my actual partners now, the people that make up PAC. We have contracts in place. We have anything that every time we make a change about something, it goes into the LLC papers. So yeah, that kind of stuff needs to exist as well. Trust but verify.
Okay, understand. Thank you for that.
That's just good business, and that's in life as well.
Right. I feel like even if it's like second mortgage or I'm sorry, I forgot the term for it, but like
Second positions.
second positions, 100K would it is minimum, because it seems like
No, I said 50. I just used round numbers because it was
Oh, okay.
easier to understand. If you want me to use the 50K example, I would say deploy 40 and hold 10.
okay, okay,
The point is it's an 80-20 scenario. You deploy 80%, you hold 20.
understand.
But 50,000 would be fine to start in seconds. I don't really see much of an issue there.
And how much would 50 get you?
That is the question of all time, because I don't know what the UPBs are. I don't know what the seller is asking for pennies on the dollar. So I would averagely say anywhere between 3 and 6 notes.
Okay. And I remember you saying like, some notes are not going to work, some notes are going to, and you want to balance it out because of, having a lot. But is it possible to like have all of them to work in some sort of way?
You mean get them all worked out?
Yeah,
Well, that's obviously the end goal, isn't it?
right.
Right. So that's always our end goal, is to get workouts. Always. We're successful 80% of the time.
What happens in the 20%?
20% of the time, you need to foreclose.
And is foreclosing like a losing battle, or like you lose money from foreclosure?
Not generally. I usually buy very well. You make your money on the purchase. And if you buy well, you'll have enough room to foreclose and do everything that needs to be done.
Okay.
Due diligence is the key to this business. Cindy has a question. She wants to know if we have a trade desk, and if so, do you trade first position non-performings? We do have a trade desk. It's very, very inactive though, because we're buy and holders. And we are, even though we're conversant in first positions, we don't like first positions. We much prefer second positions. There's way more money to be made in seconds than firsts. So we do have that trade desk. It's just very inactive. And can't you tell? I thought you had your microphone on.
I did. I just didn't want to interrupt the
Oh
other.
no, you were next.
So,
I always
anyways.
go next.
Okay. Anyways, thank you for that information. And then you had also mentioned that you had a class. And
I do.
Is that something I can find on the website, or, on the, I noticed that this group has a group also too on Meetup. Is there information I can find there? Or do I just go to your personal website?
No, you just say to me, hey, Kath, I'd like to do a class. I have 2 days available. How about you?
Oh, okay. All right.
It's very casual.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
So
And then
anytime.
I also have just a quick question, because, right now it's like, my focus is in the first position space.
Mhm.
But when you foreclose on a second position note, does that just carry back to the first position lien holder or deed holder?
Right. So when you foreclose from second position, it's always subject to the first, meaning either, and that varies county to county, state to state. If I have to pay off the first in full,
Uh-huh.
well, then I might not foreclose if I'm in a state like that. If I'm in a state where it doesn't really matter, I don't have to pay off the first in full, I'm still subject to the first, but I don't really necessarily have to pay the first, do I?
Okay.
So, I could, a typical exit strategy from second position is to foreclose from the second, throw a tenant in the house, collect rents for like the 3 or 4 years that it takes the first to start foreclosing, and let them foreclose on you.
Okay.
So it's not the end of the world.
Okay, that makes sense. So I'm a novice to this, so it's interesting, kind of hearing it lately. It's like, I've been seeing, several tapes that do have the second position notes for sale. And I just don't feel I have the, expertise or the experience and stuff to, dabble in the second position. Like you said, it's like due diligence, trust but verify. And, I get all of that, but it's like, it's just kind of a sticky situation. And then I know Sarab, if I said that correctly, had mentioned, chapter 13 stuff and stripping the lien and all that. So I'm just learning about that. So anyways, I'm kind of interested to hear from the group when, I'm just sitting here listening, and I was just curious if you did have a trade desk. So, but I appreciate.
Yeah. No, we do have a trade desk. It's just ridiculously inactive. Every now and again, we'll make
Sure.
things available for sale.
Uh-huh.
We do have 2 firsts for sale right now.
Mhm.
But the houses they're backed by a $20 house, a $20,000 house, and a $40,000 house. So
Right.
they're pretty small purchases. As far as, profitability, seconds are the way to go.
Got it.
Seconds have far more potential to earn money than firsts do.
Interesting. So I learned something new today.
Well, and it's funny because most people, it's good you bring that up, because most people get into or have a desire to get into first because they feel that it's a less risky proposition, more secured proposition. And the reality is that may be true that it's more secured. I would argue that it's less risky though. So it's seconds are just phenomenal in terms of the returns. The returns are just outrageous versus the firsts. You have to remember the UPBs are larger in firsts than they are in seconds.
Right.
And the price point that you purchase them at is way higher than seconds. So between the higher UPBs and the higher price points, let's say you have 100,000 to deploy, you're buying far fewer seconds than you are firsts rather than you are seconds.
Right.
So it's a numbers game. Mark, you want to talk about it being a numbers game? Talk about
I love talking about it being a numbers game.
well, then go ahead, by all means.
Well, so the main difference in my mind between the first and the second is there's a price point difference where discount on the first non-performing note is somewhere between 50 and 60 cents on a dollar. Then the second note should be priced somewhere between 30 and 40 and 50 cents on a dollar. This is first. And second is when you build your exit strategy on a first lien, on a senior lien, you base it based on the property. About 80% of the time, the exit strategy is through the property. And on a junior lien, about 80% of the time, the exit strategy is through the borrower.
Interesting.
That everything you just said is spectacular. You were listening. I like it.
No, thank you.
So
Well,
that's
thank you.
yeah, everything he just said is 100% accurate. So, when you start thinking about, let's say you have that 100,000 to deploy, you're only going to get 1 or 2 firsts, probably
Right.
2. and you may get 10 seconds. If you lose one of those two firsts, you're kind of screwed. You're out 50 grand. If you buy your 10 or 12 seconds and you lose 5 of the 10 or 5 of the 12, you've still got 5 or 7 that made money. And believe me, you'll make a lot of money. It's enough. It'll cover anything that you lose.
Interesting. Yeah, I think the first position market is, I mean, I started doing this about 1.5 years ago. So I think it's drastically changed. The buyers have a different mindset, and a lot of them are like selling off of, equity instead of unpaid principal balance, which is kind of driving the cost. So, it's kind of creating a different way of doing an analysis, and you look at it and, okay, if it works out like you're paying, 90 cents on the UPB, that may make sense depending on your exit strategy. So I've noticed, especially with COVID that's out there, the first position has become a much different game. And I've noticed a lot of sellers, where right now I'm kind of a buyer in that position, but a lot of the sellers and stuff are, their prices are getting high, a little bit higher. So, I don't, I'm not really sure if it is because of COVID or whatnot and stuff, but then there's a lot of the sub-performing that are being sold because of COVID, but they're probably easier to bring back to performing than, some of the other ones. It's just a matter of when, so, but I hear what you say. I think the first positions have become very competitive. So I'm kind of looking into another space, because if everybody's doing the same thing, then that's kind of telling me it's time to look in another direction. So maybe it's like, my answer is to get more involved in the seconds and, kind of, explore that situation. So, and I raise capital as well. So I have over $2 million to deploy in notes. And so it's kind of, it's an interesting scenario. And plus I do my own. So anyways, it's interesting hearing some of the, strategies from some of the experts or the people that have experience.
Oh, whoever has a dog. Okay.
Yeah, mine just heard the other dog.
Yeah.
So it's interesting just hearing the workouts and stuff, but I still, Kathy, I should probably get in touch with you and kind of see like what kind of training and stuff is available, and see what, I could work out. But right now I'm doing a lot in the first space, but I am seeing kind of that change very quickly.
Yeah, it's, the first market, I keep telling everybody, pricing is the Wild West. It's crazy out there.
It is.
And it's affecting everything. However, interestingly enough, property values are going up with COVID, but I do
Yes.
anticipate in the next year or two actually seeing a lot of notes coming out. So it's kind of interesting. I see both things happening. We do have a question posed from Sarab. Does anyone here see second positions for sale on high value houses in Vermont or New Hampshire or Pennsylvania? So value of a house is, say, more than 450. We want to partner with you if you see anything like this. Yeah, I mean, actually, to be quite frank, I've seen a lot of tapes in my life. I have not seen a lot of New Hampshire or Vermont on there. I have seen tons of Pennsylvania, and I've owned tons of Pennsylvania, but I think I've only owned one Vermont and never a New Hampshire. I do get a lot of Massachusetts, but yes, in some states, it's strange. You almost never see inventory from those states. Alaska would be a state like that. Yeah, you don't see a ton of it. But if we see it, we will definitely keep you in mind. How's that? Well, we wouldn't partner with you, though. You'd have to just buy it. We don't partner with people. Sorry. But we would let you have it if it was something we weren't interested in. All right, what else do we have? This might end up being a quick call, even though there's tons of new people on.
I have another question.
By all means.
Are there any particular states that, you prefer to buy in and other states that you prefer to avoid?
So I definitely prefer to buy in California, Texas. States to avoid. I mean, I literally will buy anywhere. I'm kind of on the fence about Illinois these days. Washington State would be a place where I wouldn't buy notes. Well, let me qualify that and say I would buy those notes, but as newly entering the market, I wouldn't buy. Illinois, Washington, Ohio. Yeah, those would be the three worst states in my opinion.
And why are they bad for you?
Illinois is bad because they have some foreclosure rules or requirements regarding pay history that tend to be an issue when you're buying second market notes.
Okay.
And that's a problem if you need to foreclose. If you're looking for a workout, great. And if you get one, great. But if you don't get one and you need to foreclose, it's a problem. Ohio's just a mess in general.
Yeah.
The court systems are very, very judicial there. The tax bodies, and if you end up with the property, it's a nightmare to own property there. It's just a nightmare in general. And Washington has registration requirements that may or may not be problematic. But if you're new to the game, may end up costing you a lot of money if you don't properly register.
Okay. And do you have to be licensed in any of these states, or is there like a
Well, so that's what I'm talking about, like with Washington.
registry? Okay, gotcha. Okay, because I know, like, I think Georgia is one state. If you hold more than 5 notes, you will also have to register there. So first position.
Yeah, I've read the statute for Georgia, and it's actually, there's actually, I can't remember the exact section, but there's one section there that lets you off the hook.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I've read the entire statute. I just can't remember which number it is.
No, that's okay. You mean you don't have the code number?
Not just like not in my head, right? I actually have it on a document, but I don't have it on my head.
Oh, that's too
unfortunately.
funny.
I keep everything so I don't have to do the same work twice. I just,
Smart.
yeah, I just don't recall it right off the top of my head. I wish I did. But I read when I was reading the stat, mainly because I was trying to board a note with Georgia, a Georgia note rather, with FCI. And they sent me this thing, you have to fill this out saying, whether you need the registration or not and why. So I was like, well, I'm not going to sign this until I read the statute. And I literally went through each and every paragraph, each section. And I found the one that let me off the hook, and I wrote the section number right on the document, and then I boarded the loan with FCI, no problem.
Oh, that's good. FCI is pretty good. They're pretty, they're good on the first, and it sounds like you use them quite a bit on seconds.
Exclusively, yeah.
Oh,
They're the gold
Yeah.
standard, yeah.
Got it.
I don't use them if I have a borrower in bankruptcy. It's the only time I don't use them. You know why?
Why?
I'm a very cheap date.
Oh, there you go.
I'm
So
a very
they're
cheap
pretty
date.
pricey.
Well, in bankruptcy.
Okay.
So if you have a performer, it's $15. If you have a performer in bankruptcy, it's $85.
Gotcha.
And the reason is when you have a borrower in bankruptcy, performing or not, there's certain correspondence that you need to send out. And FCI charges you $70 a month to send out that correspondence. Well, I'd rather board my bankruptcy notes with Madison Management because they don't charge you anything.
Okay.
It's still $15 a month.
Interesting. And have you used Main Street Capital Partners?
Main Street, no, and
Oh.
I wouldn't.
Oh, okay. And why?
Not the biggest fan of Saprina.
Oh, okay. So I know Sabrina, but I won't say anything.
Oh, I don't care. You can. I don't.
I'm
I
kidding.
honestly don't care.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm good either way. I'm just not her biggest fan.
Ah, gotcha. Well, that happens. I have some of those already too. So
Yeah, it does. And that's the thing. I mean, you're never.
yeah,
The interesting thing about this business, and this is what I was telling Mark over the weekend, it's a very incestuous kind of business. We all know each
it-
other.
yes.
The question is, do we trust each other? Do we like each other? Those are the two questions we need to answer. And most of the time, I like most people I meet. There are a few that just don't like them. They rub me the wrong way. They act a little stuck up, elitist, annoying, however you want to call it.
Yep.
And so, you know, she may be lovely, but that's not the way she acted towards me when I met her.
No,
So
I totally agree. And my whole thing is, I mean, you have to have it's relationship business, and you have to have that relationship in order to build the trust.
that's
And
right.
if you don't have that, because I kind of equate this whole business to it's like dating and a marriage. And if you're going to do deals together, you know, that's the marriage. So you have to be able to get along.
Well, the
And
other
there's
side,
people in this industry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, the other side to that is you don't prejudge people either. I'm
You
one of those
can't.
people who likes to walk around in what's one level above pajamas. Why? Because I'm retired at 45 and I'm comfortable.
There you go.
And that doesn't mean you should look at me and say, well, she can't have any money,
No,
because you
yeah,
never know how much money I got and how much I could have bought from you.
that's right. And it's like, you know, it's like never judge a book by their cover. I mean, that's kind of crazy for people to do it. It's like you listen to them and then, you know, are they on the same page as you are? Do they have the same, you know, levels of integrity? Do they work the same? I mean, you know, it's just, do they have the same type goals and things? You know, is there like, you know, is there something in common that could make the relationship work? And I look at it like it's dating, and then you're engaged, and then you're married once you like, you know, kind of do deals together. And there's certain people already, you know, that out here in California, and I know you know who some of them I'm talking about, and some are in orange jumpsuits, but it's just
Uh-huh.
kind of become like, you know, and I work with somebody out of San Diego that I stopped working with, and it's like, you know, I'm not playing the little dance with you because you're just short of running a Ponzi scheme. And if I can't trust you, I am not using my capital that I've raised from other people to place with you. And you know, you just have to be aware of some of the red flags and kind of, you know, I think like listen, it's not bad mouthing necessarily, but I think when people start sharing their experiences, you need to listen. And so when I come to a disagreement with somebody in the industry, I just what I create a lot of space, and you do your thing and I'll do my thing, but it's just like, you know, we're not working together. It's just not going to happen. And I've even done that with certain investors. I mean, there I've, you know, said, you know, I just don't think we're a fit. And I walk away because I'm definitely not going to work for an investor or work with an investor and stuff that is going to, you know, not on the same page with me. So
Oh
anyways, it's
God, well that's absolutely right. And when you're talking about investors, you have to honor their money just like you would honor your own money. And
exactly. And almost to a higher degree even.
well, definitely more
Yeah.
to a higher degree. If you don't, to me, that's bad business.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. In this business, not everybody is on the same up and up. And
Exactly. Exactly.
this has the potential to be quite shady.
Exactly. And it's like in a very short period, I've noticed that. And when I look at myself and when I'm raising capital, and if I ever made more money than my investor, then I'm doing the wrong thing.
Well, exactly. And to be quite frank, there has been some questionable stories about your friend there that we were talking about. So there's that.
Yeah.
And they go back like 10 years.
Yeah.
So there's that as well. And I don't like that either. So
Yeah.
whenever I hear, that's the other thing. I like to be 180% above board. The moment I hear there's somebody is questionable, I immediately put them on my not happy list.
Yeah. Yep. I'm the same way. If I hear somebody that's questionable, I just back away. So I don't need it. There's way too many notes in this industry to go. There's so many to go around with the industry. And I don't want to get in an adverse position with anybody over a note. It's just not worth it to me. And, working with other people's money, I'm not going to risk it. If it's something I wouldn't invest in, I'm certainly not going to put their money in it. So, and when I start getting pressure to do that, and there's somebody out of San Diego that I no longer will even say hello to, because it's just one of those people that, and they run a trade desk and stuff, but I think they have a very low level of integrity, and they work highly unethical. And I just don't want to be affiliated with that. And it's like, but boy, you'll see them all over the internet and how great they are, and, all their podcasts and everything else. And it's like, wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole.
I hear you.
I haven't been burned, but I was very close to getting burned.
I hear you.
So anyways.
So we have somebody new who entered. Hi, Gwen. How are you? If you have a microphone, you're welcome to speak and say hello.
Oh, I'm here. Yes.
Hey, Gwen.
Yes.
How are you? Where are you from?
California.
Ugh. Got 2 Callies in the house tonight. You know how I feel about the Cali? The West Coast is a terrible place. It's a terrible place. Well, Orange County is actually quite lovely. I got to be honest. And my baby lives in Seattle, so I can't be too angry with Seattle. So Miss Gwen, what are you into? Are you into first, seconds, notes, brand new? What's your deal?
First, it seems like partials and seconds are more complex, and I don't know how to deal with those.
Well, partials are interesting. Partials are a way to leverage your performing second. But in terms of seconds over firsts, they're not that much more complicated, to be honest. I mean, there's a few more things you do have to take into account, but they can actually be less complicated in that you don't have to worry about taxes. You don't have to worry about escrow. You don't have to worry about insurance, any of that stuff. So are you in the note business currently?
No, but I want to get it away from tenants, toilets, and trash.
The 3 T's. Who likes that? Nobody. All right. Well, so if that's your case, yeah, Cindy agrees with you. Both the Callies agree. So here's the thing. Get into notes. Notes is the way to go. I can't stand owning real estate. I hate even owning my own house. In fact, once my father goes, and of course I don't want that to happen anytime soon, but when he does, I will immediately sell the house, and I'm going to live in a camper. I'm pretty excited about it. I travel all over the United States in my little schoolie. You guys are just very quiet. It's just not fun. Somebody has to give me a give and take here. Oh, John says, I was on the tail end of the broadcast you did from the hospital. I did a couple while I was in the hospital, John. Could you explain the 70% LTV you use and discussed on that call when evaluating a tape? So it's not LTV, it's CLTV. LTV means loan to value, and it's most specifically regarding the first. CLTV is called combined loan to value, and it would be comprised of both the first and the second. And so what the 70% number is all about is you have to, when you're buying from second position, you have to ensure your equity stake or your equity position for things like stripping or stuff along that lines. And usually when people buy foreclosures at a sheriff's sale, they're looking for a bargain. So they never pay 100% of the FMV. They always end up with, an FMV means fair market value. They always end up paying somewhere along 70 to 80%, unless you're in New York City and then it's at 110%. But you know, they're getting a bargain. They're getting a 20 or 30% discount on the house by buying a foreclosure at sheriff's sale. So the 70% number that you heard me talk about was really about during due diligence, you find your FMV on the property and then you get 70% of it. Now, so let's go with a real example. So let's say you have a house on the tape and it's coming up with an FMV of 300,000. The foreclosure fair market value would probably be somewhere in the vicinity of 210,000. So now let's say you have a first valued at 175,000. So that only leaves you with 35,000 left of actual true equity, assuming this house went to foreclosure. Now, is 35,000 enough to cover at least partially your lien, your second position lien? And if it is, maybe it's still a good buy. If it's not, then why would you buy that note? Again, it's making an assumption you have to bring it to foreclosure. You may end up with a workout on the very first week with the borrower, and you don't have to worry about that. So it's sort of, you have to put weight on the borrower versus the equity. In my case, I put more weight on the equity. I make the assumption I'm always going to foreclose, even though I never want to. Does that make sense to you? You have a microphone. I heard you talk before, so talk. Oh, I thought you had a mic. I'm sorry. I thought you spoke earlier. All right, did that make sense to you? Do you want further explanation? That makes sense to everybody on the call? Oh, all right. I'm okay. Any other questions? By the way, were there sessions on July 8th and the 22nd? I know I missed one day in there, and it might have been the 22nd. I'm pretty sure there was a session on the 8th. But I could be wrong. I know when I first got out of the hospital, I was doing the recoup at a friend's house, who's actually my business partner and my dearest friend ever. And there was 1 week I just didn't feel, I just couldn't do it. It might have been, I don't know, it was either the 8th or the 22nd. I don't remember which one, I got to be honest. So yeah, I'm sure there was one on one day and not one on the other.
There was session on the 22nd.
There was.
Correct.
So it was the 8th that I didn't do it. Did I do it on the 8th there, Mark?
I don't think so. But
that might have been the week where I just couldn't do it. I just wasn't
Right.
feeling it. Yeah. That's when I first got out of the hospital, and I just totally was not feeling it. I didn't have my nurses. I was worried about my wound healing. I mean, I left the hospital with something called a wound vac, which is a little disturbing. So yeah, I just wasn't feeling it. If there was a session on the 22nd, it is indeed on YouTube. They all get streamed live. This one is streamed live right now. In fact, some people join us on YouTube. They all get streamed live. This one is streamed
right now.
And if you're not a member, you can subscribe. I always hear everybody say that at the end of their YouTube videos. Subscribe and like and comment. I always laugh when I hear everybody say that. But it's true, I guess. Well, all right. I guess we're gonna end for this evening then. Wow. This is a short one tonight. Well, all right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And oh, I'm so glad you learned a lot there, Cindy. I always love to do these. I have a very good time with them. So everybody have a great rest of the night, and I'll catch you in 2 weeks. All right?
Thank you, Kathy.
My pleasure. Thank you. John wants to know if there's any guidance on business formation. He's setting up an LLC versus a solo 401k. Carolyn, you can say hello, you know. You can chit chat with us. John, as far as setting up how you would set it up is, I personally would do like a self-directed checkbook IRA. Instead of, and then stick an LLC in there and then have a separate LLC. So I would sort of do, you have to have it in a self-directed checkbook IRA, you have to have an LLC in there, but then have a separate LLC that's your business. That's the way I would set it up. It's the way I have it set up at the moment. Does that make sense?
So then your your IRA owns the LLC that you're working out of?
Right. When you have a checkbook self-directed IRA, that's
Right.
an LLC that lives inside the
Correct.
IRA.
And it owns shares of the LLC that you operate.
Well, no, they're really two separate things. Remember what we talked about? You can't, if you're gonna buy notes, you can't do the money, you can't work on the notes with your investment money.
Right.
Right. So they really need to be two separate entities.
Okay. So would you have any advice for someone who does not have a partner to do what you were talking about?
Who does not have a partner? Well, people do this business all the time alone. You don't necessarily need a partner. It depends on how much funding you have.
Well, if majority of funding is in self-directed IRA, or there's a big portion of it in there.
Right. But there's nobody you know that you trust, like maybe your wife.
But my wife is going to be a person of interest,
Um,
and she's the partner in the company under which self-directed IRA is opened.
So the self-directed IRA is owned by both of you, or just?
Yes, for both of us.
Okay.
Well, there's separate accounts within that custodial plan, but the company that we used to open we opened the solo 401k, and that one is directed specifically for the company that's either owned by one owner or husband and wife.
So you don't have any children that you can provide debt to?
I guess I can.
Of course you can. You don't have any dearest friend on earth kind of thing?
Well, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's really the best thing to do. And really that's all it is. It just has to be somebody that you trust implicitly.
Okay.
John writes, okay, thanks. 2 LLCs. Would both LLCs get recorded with New York State? So it depends on where you want to incorporate. If you want to incorporate in Nevada, like I have, then you become a foreign entity in New York. If you want to record in New York, then you're a domestic entity in New York. But in any event, any LLC has to be registered to get your certificate of good standing, right?
Yeah, you mentioned that Wyoming is also a good place to open it, right?
Right. Let's see. Is there any more questions? Any more questions? Oh, there's a new message. Let's see. But doesn't the entity still have to get recorded if foreign? But it's only foreign to New York if it's domestic to, say, Nevada or Wyoming. Then it's foreign to New York. Right? So if it's originally recorded in, and I'm recorded is not the right word, registered in Nevada, and then all of the sudden but you're not doing business in Nevada, you're doing business in New York, then it's a foreign entity in New York. If you never do business in New York, then you don't ever have to record it there or
When you-
register it.
So question is, if you're buying a note, let's say from Texas, do you need to register your corporation in Texas to be foreign corporation there?
Wait, say that again?
If you're buying a note which for property that's located in Texas, do you need to register a corporation in Texas?
No, absolutely not.
So then why would you register then it in New Jersey if you never, let's say, buy it in New Jersey?
I'm registered in New Jersey because I live in New Jersey.
Okay, fair enough.
That's where I'm doing my business. But I'm actually registered in Nevada. I'm a foreign entity in New Jersey. But only because I live here. So that's the thing. You'd want to, wherever you do the original registration, somebody writes, "Hi, C, ever do a rent and ride?" No, tell me what is a rent and ride. What in God's name is that? That's so funny. That's somebody on the YouTube. My friend Nick. Oh, that's hysterical. What is a rent and ride? Anybody know?
No.
I don't either. What is a rent and ride? I need to know now. I need to know that. But you still registered in, I am registered in New Jersey as a foreign entity, correct? Because the original registration is in Nevada, but I live in New Jersey, so I am registered in New Jersey as a foreign entity. Does that make sense, John? Good. Now, back to the point that Mark was making is that if I buy a note in Texas, do I need an LLC in Texas? And the answer is no. I still do my business in New Jersey. I just happen to own a note in Texas. The work on that note I do while I'm in Jersey. Is everybody like good with that as a concept?
Yeah, I'm good.
Excellent. Oh, okay. Foreclose. Oh, rent and I thought it was like an activity. So a rent and ride is foreclose and rent till the first does their own foreclosure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I never heard it called rent and ride before, but I like it. I like it. I'm going to have to call it that from now on. I'm going to have to rip you off. Are you in a position where you're going to be doing that? And if it's in New Jersey, more power to you. It may take 8 years for somebody to foreclose on you. You could accept rent payments for 8 years before they even think of foreclosing on you. Gotta love those deep blue states. Gotta love them. Which state is it in? In case anybody's wondering, I'm talking to text on the YouTube. In Missouri, the borrower will likely deed in lieu for a few bucks. Yeah, there you go. So deed in lieu, give him 500 bucks, $1,000, get a tenant in there, and even keep the borrower as a tenant. Well, no, I wouldn't because they're not paying, but I have had success with that myself. We had a borrower could not pay his $400 mortgage, but when we foreclosed on him and let him to continue to live there, he could easily pay his $800 a month rent. Go figure. I just told you about him over the weekend, right, Mark?
Oh yeah.
That was so funny. This guy was hysterical. Offered him every opportunity to pay his mortgage. It was $400 per month. Stuck his head in the sand, never came up for air, foreclosed on his house, and all of a sudden, he's able to come up with $800 a month rent.
Defies all logic.
Well, thank God he did too, because he destroyed the house, and we never would have been able to rent it to anyone. Ever. He destroyed the house so bad, he had like a couch wedged in the front hallway that you couldn't even use the front door. You had to go in the back door. And that was just one thing. Other places, he cut walls in half. It was just a terrible place.
That's why you don't want to be a landlord.
Oh, it's a terrible thing being a landlord. Terrible, terrible thing. Yeah, I would definitely do that. If that was me, Nick, I would be all over that. Get a tenant in there, get a property manager, be done with it. Never think about it again. All you have to do is listen at, the property manager every now and again. Hey, you mind if I buy if I get new locks for the front door? Nope, go for it. It's pretty much it. That's all you got to do. And then they foreclose on you. Is Missouri judicial or non-judicial? Let's see. Oh. Let's see. Why don't I know? Oh, because I'm in the wrong spreadsheet. Dagnabbit. Dagnabbit. All right. Does everybody know what the difference between a judicial and non-judicial is?
Yes.
Well, why don't you tell everybody?
You're putting me on the spot today.
I am.
So judicial state is a state where delinquency requires court appearance.
Not
Non-judicial-
delinquency, not delinquency, foreclosure.
Foreclosure. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Foreclosure.
Yep, foreclosure requires court appearance. That's correct. That is correct, sir. You are 180% correct. Let's see. All right. So why can't I find? Oh, because I'm on the wrong tab. Hey. All right, Missouri. Missouri is. Oh no, I keep saying Missouri. It's Mississippi. It's Mississippi. Mississippi is non-judicial. That sounds like a win. Oh, you just said to me Mississippi. That's funny. Thinking is especially good during COVID because the foreclosure will be delayed. That's true. It's very true. But it is non-judicial, so it'll definitely go a lot faster than you might think. So you might not have tons of time to make some money on the tenant scenario. Unless you also want to fight the foreclosure, and then you can drag it out if you can test it. All you have to do is just file random motions to everything they file, which all have to be heard and all delay it. And there you go. Only 3 months later on the 1st, but ready to walk. He has no income. Oh, he's only 3 months late on the 1st. But again, it is a non-judicial stay, so that 3 months may be enough time just to get him out. Does he have no income because of COVID? Because he might be on a forbearance or be able to get a forbearance. From the 1st. If it's due to COVID, he probably could get, with just the asking, he could probably get a forbearance on the 1st. In which case, it's still not the end of the world. In fact, to me, it would be a better outcome if he was able to stay in the house. You float him for a few months. You know, this to me would be one of those ones I put up on the shelf. You know, talk to him, tell him to ask his first for forbearance, and then throw it up on the shelf. Because if he's a good guy who normally works and has never been unemployed before COVID, that's not somebody you want to throw the towel in on. Very cool. Very cool. What happened? Was somebody talking other than me? Which is okay. No? All right. Well, it looks like we are going to end because nobody else is talking except me. So, and Nick is out there in YouTube land. Somebody's making a lot of noise. I don't know who it is. I think it's Ray. Ray, that's you.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was on mute.
No, that's okay. You mean you've been able to talk this whole time and haven't wanted to? That's not right.
Oh, I've actually been driving. That's why.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. You must be home. Oh, I hear babies. You definitely must be home.
Sort of.
Well, Nick, if you don't like YouTube land, click the link I just put in the YouTube and come join me. Talk to me. Did you at least learn anything, Ray? Anything helpful?
Yeah, I have. I think more so, kind of along with a lot of the other individuals on the call. It's more so just kind of just being very new to the space, more so on the seconds. And I don't know if there's anything that, I'm sure you've heard this many times, but anywhere that we could get a primer and more so to kind of better learn about the seconds.
A primer. I love that. That is so old school education. You,
I just dated myself.
I totally dated yourself. What are you, like 112?
Yeah, like 105.
That's awesome. So there's a lot of people have books out there and stuff, but they're not really books they're just sort of going to give you a really major overview. Like you'll learn more coming to these with me every 2 weeks than really what's in the book. So I don't recommend doing that. I mean, you can buy any book you want, but they're really, like I said, just going to be such really high level overhead to this business. Your best bet is either keep coming to these free with me, attending other free ones with other people, or getting yourself some education, one or the other. Or the other.
Okay, and where would I go to kind of get more information on the latter?
On the education,
Yes, please.
you could talk to me. I'm a terrible salesperson. I really am, but I do offer a class and I think it has a lot of value. So, or you could, there's other people that offer classes as well.
Okay, no, sounds good.
So,
Thank you.
Yep, my pleasure. But you definitely need more in-depth information. The primer that you're talking about, a lot of people on Amazon have books and stuff. You're not going to get anything out of them.
Okay.
Doesn't that suck?
Yeah, I guess for someone, I guess for the uninitiated, yes. But no, I mean, it is what it is. I guess I can follow up with you offline.
Yeah, sure. And you know, the other thing is everybody who has the book is their whole goal for the book is to get you to go to their classes with the upsell and the upsell and the upsell.
Right.
You know, you see it, like it starts with a 99-cent book and it ends up with a $25,000 mentorship.
Got it.
Which I don't offer, so don't have to worry about that.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. I hear you're definitely home now.
I'm actually like I live across the street from a big park, so yeah.
Oh, how cool is that? Do you have kids?
I don't.
Oh no. Seems like a perfect environment. All right, so you're not 105 then.
Yeah, I might have exaggerated that by a little bit, but
by
yes.
What, 60 years?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, all right. So you guys are all just so quiet tonight, and you make me sad that I'm ending after only an hour and 20 minutes. Normally I go for 3 hours. But all right, so it looks like we're going to have to say goodnight, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Everybody's welcome. If you want to reach out to me, you could do it through Meetup. That would be fine. And I'll talk to y'all later. All right. Everybody have a great rest of the night.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, sir.